Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you know that this is my deep dive year into the Thoth system. The system that is centered around the deck created by Lady Frida Harris and Harris-Crowley. And I've really learned a lot, and I feel like I continue to grow as I explore this system. I hope you're enjoying watching this as well. And though I'm not using a deck that was drawn by Lady Frida Harris this time, or last time in fact, the decks that I've chosen for this part of the deep dive are very, very, very Thoth inspired. They're very, very similar in many respects. The art is different, but you can see the symbols, you can see the ideas expressed in these decks, and I hope you agree with me. But before we get into it, I have a spread all laid out for us, but before we get into it, I'd like us to consider change. I'd like us to ponder change. When do we want change? When we are dissatisfied or unhappy with our circumstances, with the relationships we're engaged in, with the work that we're doing, with the creative projects we are creating, with the places we're living. If we're dissatisfied, most of us, I believe, look for and hope for change, right? However, when things seem to be going well, when we're satisfied, when we're happy with our circumstances, is that the time that we want change? When our relationships feel like they're going well, do we want them to change? When our jobs feel enriching and satisfying, do we usually want them to change? I think probably the majority of us would say no. And if you are one of the majority of us, then this week's spread might be a little bit disturbing for you. And yet, I think it is also going to be enriching for all of us. At least I hope so. So friends, what are we going to do? We're going to take a look at the spread. And as usual, we'll look at the whole spread, and I'll tell you what the parts are briefly, and then we'll break it down into the parts, and we'll read those parts. And then we will finish up the video. So friends, we're all ready. I hope you're all ready. And right now, I'm going to show you the spread. Here it is. What did you think of that spread? Do you think it's interesting? I hope you do. I think it's interesting. This is a spread that I developed by asking the deck created by Lady Frida Harris to inspire me with a spread. I asked for a card that would inspire a spread for me, and the deck presented the Lust card to me, which was wonderful because in my research of the major arcana especially, there are a few cards which some describers of the major arcana, the describers of the Thoth deck, will often offer questions surrounding. I hope that was good grammar. I lost myself in it myself too. But a lot of the people, some of the people who write books around the Thoth deck will ask questions about which are inspired by aspects or symbols within each of the cards. And this is one of those cards where the heads of the beast inspire questions, especially for, oh gosh, now what is his name? He's got 3 books. I'll put a name right here for you to look at. Marx, okay, no. Anyways, so the name has slipped my brain, but wonderful books. And he asks a question surrounding each one of the heads. 7 questions. And so what you saw there were spots for 6 of those questions. The very top center being the question of the divinely inspired message, which comes from our angelic beings, our eternal natures, or the divine, or our guardian angels, or whatever you want to call that eternal nature that we are in inseparable communion with. And then in the lower right, just to the lower right of that, there's a card that is there for the saint, the holy aspect of self. Not the divine, but the holy, the saintly, the virtuous aspect of self. And then in the lower left, there is the card that is the artistic poet, communicator, but the artistically communicating aspect of self. And then we go to the lower left, yes, no, not the very center, but the lower left, which gave us a card that represents our courageous selves, our valorous selves. Yeah, and then in the lower right, we have a card that represents our seductive nature, the way that we draw things and people and experiences to us rather than going out and getting them. Yeah, the valorous one, the courageous one aspect of self is that which goes out and gets and conquers and defends as well. The more seductive side is the aspect that draws things to us, right? That entices things to us, be they people, objects, experiences. And then in the lower center, we have the inner wild one, yeah, the libido in a more Adler than in a Freudian sense. It's not only sexual, it's our inner unconscious power. It's the root of our power. Yeah? It's where maybe the first chakra gets its energy, you might say. And then over to the right, there were two cards on the top, and those are the cards of mystery. I was going to say the mystery cards, like you didn't get a chance to look at them. You don't know what they are, but you saw them. They're not a mystery. You saw the cards, but they're the mysterious, the mystical aspect of the spread. What is the mystery for this entire spread? And then below them, we had two cards from a wonderful oracle deck called the Oracle of the Radiant Sun, which is a very astrologically based deck, and I love it. And so we had two cards for advice there. And that's the order that we're going to be reading these cards in, although I did skip over one thing. We are going to match up. Now, we're going to match up the saint and the hero in ourselves. We're going to match up the poet and the seductive one in ourselves. And we're also going to match up the angelic or the eternal nature and the animalistic or the libidinistic, I think that's a correct word, libidinistic nature of self. And then we'll jump on over to the mystery. Okay? Okay, so that's the plan. So friends, let's take a look at the first triad of cards at the top. Yeah, the angel, the saint, and the poet. Here they are. I don't know if you noticed this, but all three of these cards are based in water. Now, I'm still carrying on my attempts, my exploration of reading with elemental dignities, with the Thoth Tarot and the Thoth-based decks. So, all three of these cards are water, so they're all very copacetic, as you might say. They all get along together very well, elementally. So, we had at the top, the divine message, the message from our eternal natures was death. I hope that didn't freak you out too much. And then we had in the saintly part, our virtuous nature, our holy nature, we had the Ten of Cups, which is wonderful. It has its shadow side, as all cards do, but it's a fairly positive card, right? And then in the lower right, our seductive nature, we have the Hanged Man, also water-based, actually the association is the element of water for the Hanged Man. So, a lot of water, and we're going to start off with this beautiful, beautiful death card. Now, within the Harris-Crowley deck, the death card has three aspects to it. It has a scorpion, of course, but it also has a serpent, and it has an eagle, and it might even have a phoenix, giving a fourth aspect. But those three aspects of Scorpio are in the card. Now, I don't know if you can see them. Can you see the snake there? Can you see the scorpions? If you can, you have very good eyes. I'm impressed. Let me see if I can put my fingers on the snakes here. The snakes are, okay, so there are these two green snakes, very dark card, right? Here at the bottom. Do you see those? There are also two fish below them. Now, where are the scorpions? The scorpions are in a circle, tails pointing towards the center of the wheel. Do you see all those scorpions? Now, the eagle. To me, this looks like a bat. This looks like the skeletons around the scorpion wheel. They look like bats to me, but maybe those are the eagles. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. What do you think? So we had those three elements of Scorpio because this card, the death card, is associated with none other than Scorpio, which is the domicile of Mars, from which fixed water's vital attributes enter our reading here. We've got fixed water. Now, water crystallized into a diamond is one way of thinking about that, because there's a piercing pointedness to the Scorpio personality, don't you think? I am Scorpio ascending, so full disclosure, I've got a good thing for Scorpio. I like Scorpio, and my grandmother was a Scorpio sun, so there's that too. Yeah, I like Scorpio. And the death card connects Tiphareth and Netzach on the tree of life. So Tiphareth is the heart, it's the center, it's beauty, and Netzach is victory. It connects beauty and victory. It connects our hearts with you might even say the right leg of the body. Now our movement forward and our heart are connected here with that joining. We also have the Hebrew letter Nun, which is symbolic of a serpent or a fish, which is good for this card, being it's Scorpio, serpents, right? Fish also. And this serpent fish is the faithful one. It also carries knowledge from the old world over water to the new world. Think a knowledge-based Noah's Ark, where the Ark carries the genetic information, you might say, from the old world which is being destroyed into the new world, right? Which is another kind of change. Old world being destroyed, new world being birthed, right? We also have the rune Perthro, which kind of looks like a cup on its side. And Perthro is the card for decisions, mystery, prophecy. Yeah, a lot of people point to Scorpios as being prophetic, as being in good, strong connection with their psychic selves. It could be uncertainty and secrecy as well, uncertainty and secrecy as well, but also occult skills and initiation into those occult circles, maybe? Yeah? Okay. So this card asks us to consider three paths of the Scorpio. A path of the Scorpion, which is surrendering to the strain of the environment and opening to whatever happens. Now, we surrender to the challenges that we are experiencing and we're open to whatever is going to happen next. We want to consider the path of the snake, which, you know, snakes, they don't, even if they want to go forward, they don't go in a straight line forward, they undulate forward, right? So progress by give and take, by highs and lows. The undulations of a snake, of a wave of energy, right? The peaks and troughs of a wave of energy, of a sound wave, of a light wave. Now, moving forward with those undulations like a snake. And then the path of the eagle, which is arising above the situation. Transcending it and seeing the big picture. So with this death card, What are we doing? We're thinking of the dance with the coming change and embracing it. How? By being the scorpion, by embracing the challenge and the constriction. Scorpions also shed their shells when they grow, right? So it can get kind of tight in there before they're released into their fresher body. And so, there's that constriction and waiting for that release into something new. We also anticipate change in the sense of the snake, who is not going towards the change in a direct line, but is weaving its way towards it, knowing that it's in that weaving that our momentum is gaining, maybe. And then we also are able to arise above it and take a bird's eye view, like an eagle might be able to. All of that is here as we encounter and dance with change and embrace it. So there's a strain which is felt, but that strain which we feel is often due to attachment. So we want to cut through our fixed ideas. We want to cut through those things which have been comforts to us as well. Yeah? We want to allow ourselves to release ourselves to the new. Those are all of the very challenging things that the death card is calling us to. Embracing change by embracing the sense of constriction that happens before the release, by embracing the knowledge that we're not going to go in a straight, simple line, but it's going to be a path of highs and lows, sides and side to sides, of positives and negatives, right? And we have the ability and the opportunity to rise above the situation and really get a bird's eye view of what's going on. And we're called to do all of that, which is a challenge. It can be challenging when things are difficult, but it might even be more challenging when things are easy and comfortable and we are experiencing the sometimes experienced inertia of satisfaction and pleasure. Why do I say that? Well, because the next card is this lovely, lovely, lovely 10 of Cups. And here we have the 10 lotuses, which form a tree of life there with 2 dolphins below, right? And the 10 of Cups is the card of satiety. Now, being full, having had enough. And it is pointing towards Mars in Scorpio. Yeah? So we have Mars in Pisces. Mars in Pisces. So we have the fixed aspect of mutable waters, vital attributes entering our spread here. Fixed Scorpio, Mars is the planet of Scorpio, being in Pisces, which is mutable. So the fixed aspect of mutable waters, vital attributes are entering our reading here. So we're moving from the fixed into the mutable, the getting ready for the change. And because this is the third decade of Pisces, we also have Jupiter exalted in Cancer, which is interesting because Jupiter is going to show up in just a little bit. So keep that Jupiter on our minds, okay? Okay, so remind me if I forget. Here we have Jupiter exalted in Cancer, another of the water signs. And you'll notice again that the lotuses are in the form of the tree of life. Crowley points to a possibility of morbid hunger springing from surfeit. Yeah? A morbid hunger that arises from having had a little bit more than just enough. Or maybe a lot more than just enough. Yeah? It entices cravings. And that's a potential for the 10 of Cups card. But there's also happiness. But that happiness that feels like, yes, this is good, but now what? We might be getting too much of a good thing. And too much of a good thing leaves us with that, okay, so I've gotten so much, what am I going to do? we might be full of ourselves. And being full of ourselves, that might be another reason to change, right? We're so full of our satisfaction and things are, I've had enough and more than enough. And so we really need to change. It's not a healthy state to be in over a period of time, right? And so to every peaceful time, a storm comes to shake things up. And that storm could be our pure desires, the desires that are still there in the core of our satiety, of our surfeit. I gotta say, I love these. They're not dolphins. I'm sorry, I said dolphins. They're actually sharks down there at the bottom. My bad. So this is our saintly, virtuous one, right? So the holy aspect of self recognizes that maybe we are feeling good about ourselves. Not saying that that's a bad thing, but when we do arrive there and we become attached to that feeling of, yes, I've had enough and more than enough. Yes, this is all wonderful. Yes, we get attached to that. Then that's when problems arise. And so the saint, the Holy One, that aspect of self, is saying here, yes, and now what? Now get ready for the change. Enjoy what we have. The saint here is not saying, oh, bad person, you've been drinking too much, or you've been enjoying yourself too much, or you've had too much sex, or whatever it is. You've been indulging yourself. Bad, 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 bad. That's not what we're saying. The Holy One here is saying, yes, it's wonderful, and it's now time for a change. You've filled up, now it's time to get going. And so, the expressive, poetic, artistic side of ourselves is pointing towards the hanged man, right? And here it's called the hanging. And the hanged man, the hanging, is associated with the element of water. It connects Geburah and Hod on the tree of life. So we have our... now, see, I've got a problem with Geburah. I've got a different way of thinking of Geburah than many people do. So, Netzach is victory. Geburah for many is splendor. But for me, Geburah is surrender. I see Geburah and Netzach as responses to obstacles. Netzach is the overcoming of obstacles and the victory therein. And Hod, oh, wait a second. Yes, Hod, not Geburah, Hod. Hod is the, I got myself all twisted up in a knot. Yes, Hod is not, for me, not splendor, but rather surrender to the obstacle. Just like water surrenders to a barrier. It doesn't stop the water. Now, if the water's moving downhill, it's going to keep on moving, but it will surrender to the obstacle. And sometimes in surrendering to the obstacle, it will also erode and it'll eliminate the obstacle. But it doesn't have to do that. It can flow around the obstacle, over the obstacle, under the obstacle, through the obstacle. There are many courses, many paths, if we surrender to what is rather than fighting against it. That's how I see Hod. Now, Geburah is just above Hod, and Geburah is our severity. So we go from the severity of perhaps even judgment, the severity to surrender to the obstacle. And that, to me, is what the hanged man or hanging is all about. The Hebrew letter is mem, which is the Hebrew letter for womb, and the waters of life. Yeah, the womb is where life is born. So the waters of life, the womb is mem. It's also associated with Iwaz, which looks like an eye, just saying. And Iwaz is the rune for the yew tree, from which bows are made. So it's bendy. It's able to be flexible and yet firm. I mean, a good bow doesn't bend so much that it breaks, right? It's not bendy, break. It's bendy, and then it's it takes in all of that energy of the bending, and then it's able to release and hold its structure, right? So we're flexible and yet have a strong core. Iwaz is also wisdom and endurance. Protection is here as well. But for the hanged person, Crowley's got a fairly negative understanding of the hanged man, the hanging. This is someone stuck in an old way of viewing the world, which is now topsy-turvy. The bottom is now up, the up is now bottom. Yeah? It could be growth from the water implied, because like the waters of life, the waters of the womb, growth is also possible here. But it's a growth that might be calling for sacrifice, something needing to be given up. We could be unnecessarily criticizing ourselves. That's possible. We may be drowning ourselves in our emotions, in our attempt to fertilize the earth. We may be drowning ourselves as well. So, the thing to remember here is what was important is no longer important. We are asked to sacrifice something, probably that something which is no longer important. And we want to process change through death to realize the new. Right? Which is the precursor to the death card. Card 12, card 13. 12, 13, right? So the hanged person surrenders him, her, themselves and their situations and their that which is perhaps no longer serving in order to move into the death card of actual change. So that's what our artistic and communicative natures are calling for. To allow ourselves to sacrifice that which is perhaps has caused us pleasure and satiety up until now, which is a holy event. That feeling of fullness, that feeling of satisfaction is a holy event, and yet we're called to sacrifice that in the name of change, our evolution, our growth into something new. And maybe that could be something we could talk about and share and and allow that to be a creative act. That act of surrendering could be a creative, artistically creative, or otherwise creative act as well, as we surrender that which has seemed to be so wonderful or so nice or so comfortable up till now, which has satisfied us or filled us up until now. But now that we're filled up, it's time to start letting go. Does that make sense? So friends, we're about to move on to the lower part of the spread, the 3 cards in the lower triangle, actually. So here they are. These 3 cards are interesting, right? Did one of them surprise you? Perhaps that the first one we're going to look at surprised you because, well, what is it? What the heck is it? Did you think I made a mistake? This is one of 2 cards that apparently Aleister Crowley added to the deck in its initial stages. One of them a white card and one of them a black card, one of them kind of a yes card, one of them kind of a no card, but both of them of the Ein Sof, the yes of all and the no of nothingness, the nothingness of the all and the all of the nothingness. Of the 2 cards, those 2 cards together can be perceived that way. But here, in our card of courage and valor and going out and getting stuff, we're confronted with the yes. The Ein Sof in infinite light. The white day of the soul, as opposed to the dark night of the soul, yeah? The white day of the soul, the big yes. Do it. Go out and get it. And that's part of the change. That is part of the change that we're right now being called to, I think, through those three cards that we had above. And it's paired with our seductive nature. And isn't it interesting that the seductive nature is also a water card? Now, the Six of Cups, and this is a phenomenal rendition of the Six of Cups. You see the Six Cups there with the, instead of lotuses or something else, we have sunflowers bathing the cups with fluid, with liquid, with, I don't know, ambrosia? I don't know. With the spiritual waters of life. Beautiful. And you see how green those sunflowers are. And those sunflowers are a very deliberate choice because this card is associated with the sun in Scorpio. So we have the sun in a fixed waters zodiacal card. And people who have their sun in Scorpio, like my grandmother, could be very perceptive, and she was. Could be magnetic, and just a little bit secretive. My grandma would never lay all of her cards on the table, which is probably why she enjoyed playing gin rummy. Yeah, interesting fact. But yeah, she was a little secretive, and she was perceptive, very perceptive. So what is the Six of Cups pointing to? Here we have ease. Oh, I'm sorry. The title is pleasure. So our seductive nature is drawing in pleasure, which is an echo of the Ten of Cups card, which is satiety, right? So the pleasure which can become satiety is being drawn in by our seductive natures. Rather than going out and getting pleasure, we're drawing it into us. We're attracting it. And it could be the beginning of a wish. I keep moving this card up and down, don't I? Let me try holding it a little bit more steadily. There could be ease, harmony, steady increase here in this card as well, and emotional renewal and regeneration. Yeah, we're able to restore our emotional natures. And here, because we've got these sunflowers pouring out water, the summer sun at the ocean on a holiday is the feeling of this card. And pleasure can be increased by sharing it. Just like these sunflowers share liquid with the cups below, our pleasure can be increased by sharing it with others. So that's how we draw more of it to us, right? We share what we have, our joy, our pleasure, our sensual delights. We share them with others and we receive more in return. And this card being number 6, we point to the 6th sephira of the Tree of Life, which is Tiphereth, which is beauty, right? Beauty in the suit of cups. That's what this is. It's the beauty of our emotions and sharing them with and from heart. Also, there's no stress here. According to the creator of this deck in particular, we're pointing towards no stress, no effort, no struggle. Complete satisfaction and harmony of natural forces in beauty, because the 6th sephira in the Tree of Life connects with every other sephira. So there's a harmony of the entire Tree of Life brought together here in Tiphereth. And that's what this card is pointing to in our emotional sphere. Just like the 6 of Swords would be the harmony of mind for science, this is the harmony of emotion in the 6 of Cups. And that's what we're drawing in towards us. But as we essentially attract that, we're also sharing it, right? So, yes, be brave, be courageous, be your inner, perhaps even Knight of Cups. Yeah? And use your heart to draw in more pleasure and share. Now, we're not just a sponge absorbing. We're not emotional vampires. We share in order to draw in more. And then we move right to the bottom. And remember when I said, keep Jupiter in mind? Well, this is why. Here we have the Fortune card. This is a gorgeous card. Let me just refresh my memory. Here we go. Yes, we see the circle, and it's really hard to see, but just like in the Smith-Waite deck, in the Wheel of Fortune, the letters T-A-R-O, R-O-T-A are around the wheel, which kind of looks like a globe, maybe. Looks like a globe to me with a heart in the center. And from that heart, it emanates a snake. And at the top of that globe, there is yes, it's a lamb. A lamb instead of a sphinx with that victorious lamb's flag there. We don't see any markings on the flag, but the flag does exist there in the grasp of the sacrificial lamb. And this is Fortune, which is associated with Jupiter, which is domiciled in both Sagittarius and in Pisces. And for this reading, I'm putting Jupiter back into Pisces, because that seems to be the way that this all ties itself together, right? Jupiter and Pisces here. So we have mutable water's vital attributes entering our spread. And we had some mutable water entering our spread through the Ten of Cups. We also had Jupiter in the Ten of Cups, and Jupiter is here echoed with Jupiter in Pisces, rather than Jupiter exalted in Cancer, which is an expansion of home and family, right? Here we have an expansion of our mystical selves, perhaps, our fortune, our good fortune. And because this is the card that it is, it's associated with the Hebrew letter Kaf, which kind of looks like this, a palm curved. And it's the symbol of taming or subduing, like the human hand can tame and subdue its environment. There's a need to bend ourselves, just like the hand can bend itself, right? To bend ourselves in modesty and accept others as they are. Now we can subdue, and we can also accept modestly with the hand. Because it's kaf in Hebrew, we also have isaz, which is like just a straight up I, and it's the rune for ice. Neat how that works out, right? Which is like ice does not move, rest. But also willpower. Think of a glacier. The ice of a glacier has willpower, right? It's going to move wherever it damn well wants to move. Damn the mountains, I'm going to move where I want to go. Concentration. Also waiting, pausing. A little bit of an echo of the hanged man, hanging one, right? So, what is fortune for Crowley? Fortune for Crowley is a change in fortune, oftentimes for the better, especially if it's upright. Its meeting is likely positive. But still, even though it's nice when things get better, the suggestion is to move towards the axle so that we can experience the changing of seasons, of cycles, of improvements and destruction and growth and death. We can experience that from the unchanging center. That's where we really want to be. We want to be in control of our physical affairs. We want to be united with those around us. We may want to engage in revolution, but I don't really see that in this week's reading. But change, yes, we want to embrace change. This whole spread is about embracing change. And things will be changing for the better if we allow that and we embrace those aspects of the Ten of Cups and the Hanged Man above. And this is what our libido is telling us. It's, yes, embrace change. Our root chakra libido is saying, yes, change. find our own center during whatever revolution this wheel is going on. And yet we don't want to extend ourselves too much, right? We want to wait for the wheel to turn rather than trying to turn it ourselves. It's turning, it's going to turn. Embrace that. We want to embrace that with all of our being. Yeah? So friends, let me show you the central part of this spread just once more so that we can see those pairings top and bottom and take a look at those really briefly. Here is that whole central part of the spread of 6 cards right now. So remember, we had for our holy saintly selves, we had the 10 of Cups, and then for our valorous selves, we had the Yes card, right? So the holy saintly part of ourselves united with our courage and our bravery is going to say yes to what? Yes to enjoying the satisfaction and satiety that we have right now and getting ready for the change, getting ready to ask ourselves what is next, because we don't want to get attached to the good feelings we're having right now. Now, we don't want to indulge ourselves in inertia. We want to allow the white day of the soul to say, yes, I am ready, bring it on. Right? And then in our poetic, seductive sides, right? Our poet, our communicator, our artistic self is saying, surrender. Be willing to give up what has been desirable, has been pleasurable, but is now no longer necessary because we've done it already. Allow ourselves to give it up, to sacrifice that. And be ready for the new to grow out of the fertilized earth. And that is paired with this beautiful, beautiful card of pleasure. Enjoy that process. Enjoy drawing more to ourselves and feeling satisfaction as we move into change and we move through change. Now, we want to do the summer sun on a beach feeling through the change that we're about to experience. Which is why I asked at the beginning of this reading about what do you think about change. A lot of teachers of the law of attraction say, don't give attention to what is, because if you do, you'll get more of the same. And to an extent, that's true. And so they say that we shouldn't pay attention to those. Sometimes we don't want to pay attention to those things that even might feel nice, because we'll just keep that and we won't evolve. This spread is asking us to enjoy the pleasures of that which is, to feel satiety and be prepared for the pleasure of change. And be prepared to choose pleasure through the process of change. Rather than, oh no, everything's going to be different, reacting to change like that. We want to bring our pleasure through the process, the change process. Bring our satisfaction through the change. And we want to do what? As our higher selves and our libido are both telling us what? Change, right? We have the death card, which is about change and moving through that change and getting a better, higher perspective of the change. And we have the wheel, which is, again, allowing the wheel to change and allowing ourselves to both rise above and move to the center of the wheel and observe the change from within. And if we do that, maybe we will have more of an opportunity to feel the satisfaction of Scorpio here, of the sun in Scorpio, to that change, with that change. Does that make sense? I hope it does, because I think this is a very powerful reading. I think this is a very powerful thing for us to give attention to and to consider and to embrace, I would hope. So friends, we've got two cards which will show us the lion-headed snake, the mystery, the spirit manifest of this spread. Let's take a look at those two cards. The two cards we had for the mystery, for the lion-headed snake, were the Ten of Discs, which is titled Wealth, and the Four of Cups, which is titled Luxury. And luxury in not such a pretty and pink, why did that come to mind? I don't know. Well, because there's pink water here. Not so much a pretty and pink, not such a pretty kind of luxury. Yeah, there's a dark side to that luxury. But let's start off with the Ten of Discs, which is an earth card, right? First earth card. The first card that is not specifically related, at least in part, if not entirely, to water. And water and earth are hunky-dory together. They build each other up. So that's a good thing. Elementally, copacetic. Lovely. And so we have here Mercury in, what's her name? And it's not necessarily a her, Virgo. Which means that we've got mutable Earth's vital attributes entering our spread and our natal charts and the world here in this card. Which we also have, just like the Ten of Cups, we have a Tree of Life. Do you see that Tree of Life there? And we should have, in almost all of those cards, I'm sorry, in all of those Sephiroth, one of the symbols of Mercury. Except for, I believe, in Hod. In Hod, I think we have, or should have, oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the Harris-Crowley deck, I think. Here we don't have aspects of Mercury. We have the planets for the Tree of Life. Not the 7 visible lights, but all 9 planets and the sun and the moon. So we've got, this is a different symbolic association with the Tree of Life here, but that's fine. It's still a Tree of Life with discs, and we still have the idea of wealth. We have mutable Earth's vital attributes here, and wealth and its application are indicated here. We have the money, and we're asked to do something with it. We have the resources, and we're asked to do something with them in the Ten of Discs. We want to look intelligently at what we can accomplish with the resources, the wealth of the world as it is available to us now. Yeah? We want to recognize that we have a wealth of many different resources. It could be time, it could be money, it could be love, it could be other resources. And so we've received a lot, and now it's time to consider what are we going to do with it. Just like that Ten of Cups where we've got that satiety and we're asked what are we going to do with it, we're asked the same question here with our resources. And this is the bottom of the bottom tree. Ten of Discs is the bottom of the bottom tree of all the 4 trees of life. And we're getting prepared to leap up, and it's a great energetic leap from the bottom of the the bottom of the Tree of Discs to the very top of the Tree of Fire, which would be the Ace of Wands. So the next step from this is the Ace of Wands back at the top. That's a big change, that's a big leap. And so we have the resources to do it, but we've got to decide what are we going to do. So we got the completion here, we've got an ending, but an ending in preparation for a change into a new beginning. And so the association, or the associated card with that, is the Four of Cups, which is luxury. You see the pink water pouring from the cups and the lotus? So, this card is associated with the moon in Cancer. We had Cancer brought up just a little bit with Jupiter in Cancer exalted in the Ten of Cups. So we've got Cancer back here. And here we have cardinal water's vital attributes entering our reading, because the moon is domiciled in Cancer. It's a natural match. And this card is saying, despite success, don't succumb to the feeling of accomplishment. Wake the F up and work. Yeah, enjoy the luxury of what is, but wake up and work. It's time to get going, which is also what this card is asking us to do. It's asking us to, yeah, you've got the stuff now. What are you going to do with it? This card is saying, work, do some work, keep going. We might be heading for an emotional dead end if we don't. If we just sit here and wallow in our luxury, we're going to do all the negative stuff that is also indicated in the Ten of Cups. So we want to enjoy the luxury, but don't take it for granted. It'll begin to escape as soon as we consume it. So we want to keep moving forward through the change. And if we can move into the center of the wheel, that's the best. But barring that, we want to keep moving forward as we are. Keep doing the work and enjoying the work. Whatever that work is, if the work is in our relationships with our loved ones, our lovers, our families, if the work is our creative projects, if the work is building a home or building a career, building an exciting, adventurous vacation, whatever it is, keep doing the work. That's what this mystery here is. Through the change, keep doing the work and observe and enjoy. And recognize the satisfaction of the resources that we have. Now, my resources, your resources, they could be very different. They probably are very different. You may have many more resources available to you than I do. I don't know. But we can all enjoy the resources that we have and keep doing the work, keep moving forward. Pleasurably. I feel a title coming on, but it's not quite there yet. So maybe in this next section, I'll show you the two cards we got from the Oracle deck and see if they are advice or a recap. I don't know quite yet. Let's take a look at those cards. The two cards you just saw were the card for order, which is the moon in Virgo, and then the card for harmony, which is the sun in Libra. And you also perhaps noticed that Virgo and Libra are, they're kissing cousins. They're right next to each other in the zodiacal wheel, right? So the numbers for the cards are 6 and 7. 6 is the number of, the number of Virgo, and 7 is the number for Libra in the zodiacal wheel, the houses. So what is this card, the first card, telling us? Order. Above at the top we see 3 rows of plants and 3 symbols of order in nature. What are those symbols of order in nature? We see one like a many-pointed star, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, an 8-pointed star in a circle. We see a cross looking a little bit like a rosy cross, and we see another 6-pointed star, pointed star with a sun in the middle, right? So those 3 symbols at the top represent order in nature. And below, we see a brocade pattern, which points to ideas of patience and delicate work, like needlework, right? Embroidering a brocade. Think of that for this card, which is orderly, but delicate and patient work. So this card is pointing towards tidying up work systems and health as well. We want to have good health, a good healthy diet, and day-to-day work that produces what is good for us, and that we incorporate the necessary procedures in doing that work, if that makes sense. We want to be sincere, modest, and quiet, and have quiet emotions shown in practical and material ways, like a good Virgo would want, right? Virgos are not the emotional boing, 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 boing wall bouncers that some signs might be. Yeah? Quiet, calm emotions that allow us to be practical and manifest and organize in material ways. Now we want to have emotional balance and well-being here. That kind of orderliness. Orderliness of emotions, orderliness of work, orderliness of health, and by extension, wealth, I believe. And so the next card here is harmony. Yeah? Within that order, we want to have harmony as well, which is the sun in Libra. And you know, Libra is balance, Libra is relational, Libra is smart. And the sun here points towards below this beautiful person. Now there's a lot of beauty in Libra, right? A beautiful person sits and looks up. Birds are in spiritual harmony, and there's a transient link between spirit and matter in this card. The spirits fly up to the heavens and down from the heavens. They're connecting the beautiful human below to the heavens above, with the sun up there being sun in Libra. So this card, very interestingly, points to extreme effort and self-control. Also, perhaps a drastic life change. Yeah, life change. We could be experiencing passions here. And yet we prefer silence to watered down explanations of what is going on. Yeah, we prefer no sound to meaningless sound. And we want our will to to engage our willpower, and we will be called to expend phenomenal energy here. We might need to take a new path psychologically, philosophically, mystically, but a new path in life. And we might be engaging in compulsive curiosity. We just might not be able to help asking and trying to figure it out and find things out, right? Which is perhaps part and parcel of the process of change. What is happening? What's going on? Now we're called to take that bird's eye view with the eagle aspect of Scorpio, right? But also we want to look at the details. So these two cards here, what are they telling us? We want to be healthy. We want to have good systems, a good basis, of orderly platform from which to place our extreme effort and be very self-controlled in the movement towards a large life change in our lives, in whatever aspect we're focusing on. Whether, again, relationships, work, whatever, a life change here. And it's probably going to call for a new path, which will call for more energy, which would be more healthfully available if it comes from a balanced place of order, of patience, and doing the delicate work and tidying up things around us so that we have that energy to focus in the process of change. And though I didn't just say that, I think this is advice for us. I think this is advice for enjoying satisfaction through the process of change. Satisfaction through the process of change is possible, perhaps, with these two ideas merged as one. Order and harmony, not being harmony, everything's all nice and pretty, and no, this is the harmony of walking the edge of a sword, where disharmony which would cause us to either cut ourselves or fall off. Kind of like the Justice card in the Thoth deck, in the Harris-Crowley deck, right? We want to take a new path. It'll take effort, and it's a life-changing path. And it calls for energy and vitality, and sometimes being shut up. Sometimes being shut up. Shut up, I mean like shutting your mouth. Yeah? Shutting ourselves up instead of just spewing sound. So we have that energy reserved for the process, for the change. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I hope it's exciting for you. I think this is an exciting reading for us as well, and a really wonderful reading for the beginning of the year, if we will allow ourselves to move in that direction. Are you ready to move in that direction? If you are, let me know in the comments below. If you're saying, hell no, we won't go, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And friends, if you want a private reading from me, you can send me an email. My email address is below. thehangedmaninthemoon@gmail.com. Shoot me an email. We'll get you a reading. Rider-Waite-Smith, Smith-Waite, Thoth, Tarot de Marseille adjacent, your choice. Big, small, anything is possible. And friends, thank you. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up button. Thank you for subscribing. It really helps other people. It doesn't only help me, it doesn't only help you, it helps other people find this channel. So I'm deeply appreciative to all of you who have done that. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.